Hi everyone, I'm Christopher Marquis, and in the Profiteers, a central idea I explore is whether companies' net zero commitments are authentic or not. The idea of net zero is part of the UN Paris Agreement goals to cut worldwide emissions by 45% by 2030 and reach net zero by 2050, all in the service of keeping global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Companies have jumped on the bandwagon, but corporate net zero commitments are often examples of greenwashing through selective presentation designed to distract us from the fact that their emissions continue. Take Netflix, for example. It claimed to have achieved net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2022, but conveniently left out the emissions from the telecom companies that transmit its video streams or its consumers' web use. That's a significant omission, as Netflix accounts for a massive percentage of total global internet traffic, about 15% in 2023. While net zero pledges are an increasingly popular feature of corporate communications, most are just aspirational statements rather than actionable roadmaps. It's easy to say you're going to run a marathon in 2050, which is a common net zero target, but without a plan and a training regimen, it's just an empty aspiration. Moving forward, we need to establish certain parameters to keep businesses focused on these commitments. First, we must demand accountability for companies' entire production process, including supply chains. The shoe company Allbirds, for example, looks at each product's carbon footprint and sets out to reduce it immediately. Examining its entire value chain allows it to better recognize the levers it can pull to reduce emission. The contrast with Netflix could not be clearer. A company needs to start with its whole value chain. Changes in one part can have big effects in others. Second, we must demand that companies set near-term goals. 2050 sounds logical, as that's the same as the Paris Agreement. But as Allbirds realized, setting near-term accountability is just as important as long-term ambition. It sets 10 specific carbon reduction commitments for its materials and practices by 2025. We can't allow companies to carve out the parts of their value chain that lead to emissions and declare victory on a select set of activities.